Cheap Tickets wants to thank you for defending our country all over the world. Cheap Tickets wants to help you take a trip of your own. We believe the best trips in life are cheap. And as a proud supporter of the U.S. military, they want to offer you flights, hotels, car rentals, and even event tickets for less because you deserve it. Visit cheaptickets.com/military and take 18% off hotels. Offer is valid for active duty service members, veterans, military reserves, and the National Guard. Cheap Tickets thanks you for your service. cheaptickets.com/military. Now more than ever, you need reliable news you can count on. Since 1861, Stars and Stripes has been committed to bringing you the news without the spin. We believe in the First Amendment, and we're damn proud to have been there alongside you wherever you were deployed, keeping you connected. Today, we're only a click away. Go to stripes.com, use promo code podcast, and get 50% off your subscription. 50% off. There are some folks out there that think Stars and Stripes is a little old-fashioned. Well, folks, maybe right now, we need a little old-fashioned. Go to stripes.com and get reconnected with a legacy of news without the spin. Stripes.com. This is a Military Matters Fast Take. I'm Rod Rodriguez. This season of Military Matters has had its moments of tragedy, levity, intrigue, and we still have 2 more episodes left of Season 2. Last week, we talked with former Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence Christopher Mellon and the director of the documentary film, The Phenomenon, about the government's admission that there are, in fact, unidentified aerial phenomena flying around U.S. airspace, and that those things, in fact, do pose a threat to our national security. That episode has left a lot of folks stunned for its implications. But for this particular fast take, I want to bring us all back down to earth for just at least one more episode. With all of the tragedy of this year, the deaths on Fort Hood, COVID-19, and now these UAPs, I want to focus this podcast's lens of attention onto something positive, something that we can't just let slip away into the black hole that is yesterday's news. Look, I know this isn't as scandalous or as sensational as other topics, but this is still an important episode. Why should you care about the Army Soldier of the Year or that a new museum is opening? I'm going to tell you why. Because it's a dose of normal. Do you remember what 2019 felt like? When our soldiers, sailors, Marines, and airmen could stand in a formation without masks? When a salute was often followed by a handshake? When a pat on the back was real, man? On top of a disease, we've had a year of division, both racially and politically. And I know some of you out there have seen this in your own ranks. It's really easy to slip into a dark mindset that this is the new normal, that life only a year ago is something we'll never know again. That's why these stories are so damn important right now, because they remind us that no matter what has happened, no matter how bad things get, that the Army really does keep rolling along. That our service members are still part of something huge and amazing, and if you think COVID and division are scary, well, there's nothing scarier compared to the coordinated effort of American military might, and at the center of that might is our service members. So don't just shirk this episode off as some positive fluff piece, because right now, I think we all need a little positive in our lives. And I know we're spotlighting the Army in this episode, and I want to give a shout out to all our branches' respective service members of the year. The Air Force selected 12 Airmen of the Year. That's like a platoon of excellence for the year in the Army. But hey, that's cool too. So let's get to it. Let's meet Sergeant James Akinola.
Hello, my name is Sergeant James B. Akinola. I'm a 68 Whiskey Healthcare Specialist at Fort Jackson, South Carolina, at Moncrief, and I am the 2020 Army Soldier of the Year. So I joined the Army in 2017. I've been in for 3 years. I just hit 3 years a couple weeks ago. So the reason why I joined the Army is I always had that sense to serve, and I always wanted to give back to the country. So I'm Nigerian American. My parents are from Nigeria. So I just wanted to give back to the opportunity that they gave my parents to being in this country, and in order to give me the better opportunity to give, my sons and his children and so on and so forth. So I joined the army on the whim. My friend, very close friend, he joined the army and he was giving me advice. He's like, "Hey, you should join the army with me, and let's continue the greatness what we started in college in the army." So I took that chance. I took that leap of faith, and it hasn't steered me wrong yet.
The son of immigrant parents, Sergeant Akinola, a college grad, looks to serving his country by joining the army. So I was curious about what his parents thought about his decision.
So my dad he was more receptive to the idea than my mom, because my dad he's well versed in the American history, American society, and he was like, if that's what you feel like doing, you're a very smart man. Go ahead and attack what you believe that is right, what you want to pursue. My mom, she wasn't too receptive of it. She was like, you know what, I don't want you getting deployed and fighting overseas and so on and so forth. But I've kept my parents. I kept my parents a track of everything I've done since I've been in, and they're real happy with my progress and what I'm doing for myself in order to better myself.
So what goes into becoming Soldier of the Year? What pushed Sergeant Akanola to pursue this honor?
It's a very challenging feat, and it's very tedious. So I started my journey when I first got into the Army. I was one of those annoying trainees that kept on asking my drill sergeant, what is that on your chest? What is that on your shoulder? What are those badges? What are those patches? So I kept on bugging them and, harassing them in order to get the answers that I was looking for. I continued that when I got to Fort Jackson. Luckily for me, I had great leaders that saw something in me that they wanted to push forward in order for me to better myself. So, they challenged me to go to Soldier of the Month boards and, continue to compete. Though I had, some obstacles along the way with injuries and stuff, I was still able to, confide in my leaders and in order to better myself and, continue the mission and better myself in the long run.
Sergeant Akanola has blazed his own trail, secured a spot in the history of the U.S. Army, but it's up to folks like Paul Mirando to ensure that history is told, and told correctly.
Hello, my name is Paul Mirando, Chief of Exhibits for the National Museum of the United States Army. We are opening the National Army Museum to tell the stories of American soldiers from 1775 to present. So the artifacts, the gallery spaces, the everything that's in this museum tells a powerful story, and we want to be able to connect with our visitors through these stories, not only with the artifacts, but everything that's in this museum. The service and sacrifice of our American soldiers told over time. We want to focus on the stories of American soldiers. I mean, the Army is such a big organization. There are so many people involved that are part of the Army. And so how do you tell that entire story? It's a very, very difficult thing to do, but we wanted to narrow it down to the experiences of soldiers over time. Weapons, technology has changed, the type of equipment that they use, the type of uniforms that they wear. But what has not changed is the level of service and sacrifice that those soldiers have given to our country.
The National Army Museum is an architectural wonder made of glass and steel, located in Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Sergeant Akinola was one of the first visitors to tour this brand new museum.
This is different from the museums that I've been to. It's more interactive. There's a lot of things that you can do and see in there. And I believe there's over 1,300 artifacts that you can, look at, and, you get that sense of belonging as being a U.S. soldier in the Army, and, just to see what your people that came before you have been through, what they use, and then what we use today and how times has changed.
Times have certainly changed, and definitely for the better. The Army and the military as a whole broke new ground in American history by doing away with segregation back in 1948 with Executive Order 9981. I asked Sergeant Akanola what it felt like seeing the Army's history unfold before him and to see the struggle and accomplishments of other Black soldiers that came before him.
Honestly, it feels great. I'm very happy and I'm very humbled to continue the legacy that was, left for me to, continue passing. I feel like I'm holding the Olympic torch, and, I'm carrying on right now. At this point, I'm just ready to inspire, the next generation, and, continue to inspire my battles, and, just anybody that feels like they can, want to make it to this level and I want to assure them that they can make it to this level.
On display, we also have American flag that was carried by Sergeant Carney, African-American soldier during the Civil War. And so that legacy, or that, beginning was already kind of starting, especially during the Civil War. And it's significant to have that flag because it's an American story and that a lot of people don't know about. Medal of Honor recipient and served at Battle of Fort Wagner, sort of made famous by the film Glory. So to have an object like that to connect with visitors, but also to connect with soldiers, like our Soldier of the Year, it is truly important.
A huge thanks to Sergeant Akinola, U.S. Army Soldier of the Year 2020, and to Paul Mirando, Chief of Exhibits at the brand new National Army Museum. You can learn more about the museum, hours, and tickets. Get online. Go to thenmusa.org. That's THENMUSA.org. The link will be in the show notes. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention the U.S. Army's NCO of the Year 2020. That honor belongs to Sergeant First Class Alexander Berger of the 2nd Battalion, 10th Special Forces Group at Fort Carson, Colorado. I was told there's also a Warrant Officer of the Year, but no one seems to know that guy's name or when they're coming back. I was told that there was a set of keys on the desk and a warm cup of coffee, so the assumption is they'll be returning shortly. Folks, be sure to like, listen, subscribe to Military Matters, available everywhere you listen to podcasts. Leave us a review. Those really do help us reach new audiences. And as always, you can save 50% on your digital subscription to Stars and Stripes. Go to stripes.com, use promo code podcast, and save 50%. That's promo code podcast and save 50% on your digital subscription. And finally, this episode was brought to you by cheaptickets.com. Go to cheaptickets.com/military and get 18% off hotels. Offer valid for active duty service members, veterans, military reserves, and the National Guard. The best trips in life are cheap. cheaptickets.com/military. I'm Rod Rodriguez, and I will see you at the next episode.